Sherlock
Okay.
Holmes
And
is-
suspense. Ah! Never heard of this.
That's totally fine. No. Welcome back to Mystery Death Theater, everybody. This is
Well, there it goes.
yeah. There's a reason why I have decided to put this game on for today. We're gonna. This is the Sega CD version of this. Yes, I know that there is a better version that has been released, but we're just gonna see what happens.
We're doing classic.
London is not a beautiful city. Under the soot that covers its buildings is a teeming mass of 4 million souls trying to survive, mostly off of each other. You see it in the paper every day.
And they mostly suck.
Thankfully, we have the London Times to keep us informed of all these troubling activities with an unbiased eye. And
Yes,
razor-sharp
unbiased.
accuracy.
Fair and
We find this
balanced.
publication to be of invaluable
Yes,
assistance
just like
in
the
our
Daily Mail.
investigations, and I'm sure you will as well. Among the forces of evil which run rampant in this city, there are also, thankfully, two groups of individuals who will aid us in our cause. As we do,
Right.
they attempt to right wrongs and restore harmony and civility to the streets of London.
Sure.
The first of these groups is a ragtag association of young ruffians. I call them the Baker Street
Oop, excuse me.
Irregulars.
The Baker Street
Don't let them fool you.
Pause.
hooligans.
They may be
Hooligans.
scruffy
The
and ill-bred,
irregulars.
but they are on the right side of the law. They can go everywhere, see everything, and overhear everyone.
Oh,
They are my eyes and ears
they're
in
my
the streets
snoops,
of
my
London.
snitches.
Unquestionably a tremendous asset in our work. They will help us in our investigations if they can.
Our flipped assets.
The
Okay.
other group is
Yes.
a far more civilized collection of gentlemen and institutions. I call them the Baker Street Regulars. They, too, will be extremely useful in our...
Okay, yeah, we got it there, Mr. Holmes. Okay.
Man, he sure does talk a lot.
Yeah, he do. All right, so this is all the different stuff here. I think, yeah, this is the table of contents. Okay, so we're going to start with this mystery called the Mummy's Curse, because there's something significant about this story. But
What balderdash.
A mummy.
You must have read something terribly disturbing, Watson, for you to be so overwrought this early in the morning.
Indeed, Holmes. It's irresponsible of the Times to play upon people's superstitions.
Ah, you must be referring to the affair of the Mummy's Curse.
There's the entire city in an uproar. 3 men dead, and they expect us to believe that a 4,000-year-old mummy was the murderer.
Why, that's preposterous.
that's preposterous. No,
To the
a
contrary,
2,000-year-old mummy,
I have
sure,
made
certainly,
inquiries.
but a 4,000-year-old,
Because
just
I dare say I do
absolute
believe this
balderdash.
murderer is a much
They've really just,
Gone too far.
they're too old.
Yes.
4,000. They can't keep their limbs up.
Oh, no, of course not. All right, so this game is something we're going to be doing this as a one-off because this is basically everything you do here is in this menu. So you have like your, oops, that just got me back to the main goddamn menu.
So it does stuff.
It does, yeah, these different, here we go. Okay.
Shut up, Sherlock.
Yeah, we heard you the first time. Okay. But yeah, you read through newspapers. So for instance, for this mystery, we're deciding to get ourselves set into the mystery itself. But I don't think really quite we need to get to worry about this first. We should be looking at our directory, the London directory, because we have a few places, a few persons we should go and visit as well. For instance,
I see.
I believe it is H.R. Murray, who is a person of interest that we should go visit. So we click that, and these icons become
Murray.
available. So you can have someone call on them. You can figure out the clues about what... so what does he say? As a head chemist at the Scotland Yard of Criminology, old HR is a tremendous source of information, although his thoughts do tend to ramble a bit. There's, however, no better mind when it comes to interpreting the physical evidence of crime. So if there's these... So if there's these murders here...
Pettigrew wrote this book over 50 years ago, and there's still nothing better on the subject. Fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Just fascinating. And what can I do for you today, Whitson?
It's Watson, sir.
Watson, yes, of course.
We're interested in what you may have learned about this mummy case.
Oh, so these days it's mummies you're chasing down with that fella Helms.
It's Holmes.
sir.
That's just what I said now, isn't it, Whitson?
Yes, I believe you did, sir.
Let me show you what I found so far. This is the bit of linen that was found round the neck of James Windibank. I examined it thoroughly, and it is quite old, perhaps thousands of years. However, it is not...
For thousands of years?
Are you certain of that?
No, just the
Aye.
2000s feet.
The linen is quite old, but it's not at all strong enough to strangle a grown man.
Very interesting, sir.
I also found something quite fascinating. Take a look through this glass. Do you see those short hairs on the fabric?
They look precisely like hairs.
Not really.
Of course they look like hairs. But what kind of hairs? They're not human
Your hair?
hairs. They're dog hairs.
It's where my hairline went.
Look at this.
Damn.
This piece of linen.
Well,
was
that's
found
another
around the
mystery
neck of the
solved.
victim on board the ship. Well, his name was Leatherby or something. It is also quite old, and on it I found more hairs.
So
More
in another
dog
victim,
hairs.
there were also
No,
these
my
More
dear man,
hairs.
Monkey hairs.
monkey
I've not yet been
hairs.
able to identify the precise
Wait, you're telling me
species,
that
but
it's
just
the monkey's
extraordinary,
curse?
isn't
It is the
What-
monkey's
What do
curse.
you think it all means? Well,
And this means we're going to have to go to Monkey Island to solve this secret.
Neither of these bandages were the murder weapons.
I knew it.
But yeah, he holds up his hands and says, okay, the hands were the murder weapon and that someone staged it to look like it was just the mummy. But it was not the mummy.
So this is a false flag operation on mummies.
Basically, yeah, they're trying to blame the mummies when the mummies had nothing to do with it, which to me just sounds like sexism in England again.
Yeah, that's just awful. That poor mummy. They didn't do anything.
Did nothing wrong. All right.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so
That mummy's innocent, I tell you.
Okay, so I think Herman Ramsey. Let's see. What is his notes? Yeah. Captain of the Eastern Empress.
I dare say.
Actually, you know what? Let's go. So some of these murders took place apparently on a boat, on a sea vessel, which that cutscene at the beginning does not tell you, by the way. You have to find that out by looking up the fucking newspaper articles.
Well, that's just mean.
And you actually have to do it the old-fashioned way, where there is tons of chaff in the newspaper that is not relevant to the case.
So this is really just trying to convince people that being a detective isn't actually fun at all.
Exactly. There we go. So I think it's, yeah, Jardine, Matheson and Company under shipping companies. Steamship company located in the eastern section of the city. Vessels including the Hercules and the Eastern Empress. Yeah, the Eastern Empress is where one or more of the murders took place.
Hmm.
Here is a passenger list you requested, sir.
All right, passenger list that we requested. Oh, that's right. I could have just sent a little footman to go take care of that. This, by the way, folks, is what detective games were in 1991. Was a lot of like this.
It was a hand with a pipe. That was about it.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, yeah, I think if you do this, it gets to the actual list. Okay. Akram Al-Saud, Akram Fahmi Al-Saud, yeah, Meryl Louise Fenwick, Philip Travis, Meryl Fenwick, Philip Travis, Anthony Urabodu, Andrew Weatherby. So Weatherby was one of the victims. James Windibanks was also one of the victims. Okay. Okay. So, let's see here. There's the one person I want to go to just because it's apparently someone I can visit for this case, and it's just the name. Where are you? Porky Shinwell. I don't even know who he is, but it's in the guide. Shinwell Johnson, also known as Porky Shinwell, has served 2 terms at Parkhurst Prison, staking his life of crime for that of an innkeeper. He is now the proprietor of the Raven and the Rat Inn at 52 Hull Street, EC. Okay.
Porky Shinwell.
Porky Shinwell.
There was a couple of blokes in here just a fortnight ago what mentioned the Eastern Empress. Never
Yeah.
seen 'em before.
Yeah, they sure
Haven't
did, eh?
seen 'em since. One was a swarthy fellow, Arab unless I miss my guess. The other was an old English gent. I overheard 'em say something about a bird and later caught the name of the ship.
An actual bird or a
Hope that
lady?
helps you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
for a
need
drink, yeah.
specifics, buddy. Okay, we're visiting that just for that. That actually isn't going to help us with any of the answers that are going to come up. But yeah, you can go to the London Library. Let's see. But yeah, okay. So Windibanks was one of the victims. Let's check. Let's call upon him. I'm pretty sure they said he was the victim.
Winterbank, come on down.
Professor of
You're the next
Egyptology
victim of the mummy's curse.
and Science at London University published a paper on the rare antiquities buried in the deserts of Arabia. Oddly interested in the advancements of science and has had some difficulty with the Anti-Vivisection League over the past several years. Well, let's go call upon him.
What did you learn, Watson?
Not a thing, Holmes.
You learned nothing?
Don't get testy, Holmes. There wasn't anyone about.
My humble apologies, Watson.
Okay.
Let's just argue in front of this door.
Yes, that will solve everything. Let's see. So let's check with this Abdullah individual. Because I said he was on the map. He was nothing on file, but he was on
Nothing
the
on file.
but he was on the passenger list.
Well, Holmes, I checked in with Mr. Al-Sad's manservant and...
And you discovered that Mr. Al-Sad was not at home.
But however did you know that?
Elementary, my dear Watson. I noticed some crumpet crumbs from the corner bakery stuck to your lapel. You haven't been gone long enough to stop for tea and interview anyone at length.
Most observant.
Wow, that's just rude.
Really? Really? You deducted it from just that? Come on, man.
There's another pork or ham related name here. Quinton Hogg. Let's see. Worked for Scotland Yard as a police inspector. He now reports on crimes to the Police Gazette. Let's go talk to him.
Oh, you don't say.
Now, the thing what does strike me as odd is the passenger list of the Eastern Empress. Now, I'm not saying it has anything to do with the mummy murders, mind you, but it was a bit out of the ordinary.
What was Hogg?
Akram Farmi, for starters. He's a well-known
Yeah.
importer, he is. For a price, a considerable price by all accounts, he can acquire
was.
whatever one's heart desires.
Anything.
Be it jewels,
Black market
art
dealer,
objects,
huh?
Or even wild animals, if that's what you fancy. I'd say he was on board that ship to transport something very valuable.
The presence of one high-powered importer on a London-bound vessel is hardly reason for suspicion.
Right, oh. But Abdullah al-Sad was also on board.
Oh, yes. The well-known
I
agent
thought
for the
they'd get your
Sultan of the Ottoman
attention.
Empire.
You never miss a trick, do you, Holmes? Well, whatever it was, what Farmi
Well, I
was
did miss
carrying,
that one
I'd say
month
it was
of Tips and
something
Tricks
those
magazine.
Turks wanted to get their hands on.
So somebody may have wanted to get what was there, afoot there. Perhaps it had something to do with what they were carrying. Or,
Perhaps.
yes. Yes. We've checked in with Murray, we've checked in with Ramsey. Luther Tenney. Tenney. Let's try this Tenney chap. Now, anyone who knows this this game or knows what I'm building up to is going to know that I'm basically stalling for time.
Let me tell you, a murder, even by a 4,000-year-old mummy, was only one odd thing in a string of bad luck on this voyage.
What sort of bad
What does you?
It all started with the crew, really. Seamen are a rather superstitious lot to begin with, and the idea carrying about a 4,000-year-old mummy had them shivering in their timbers. We almost faced a bloody mutiny. Then there were the passengers, a strange lot.
Artist's
I can tell you
interpretation.
that reporter fellow, Travis, did us no service at all with his mystic mumbo-jumbo. He and Professor
Mystic
Winterbank had a
mumbo-jumbo.
regular war of words going on about whatever powers this mummy was supposed to have. And there was the two Arabs.
Arabs? Interesting. Do you recall their names?
I should hope I do. One was called Barmy. He always carried around this curious little box.
Little
No
box.
clue what was in it, but Barmy
He
never
just
let it
loves
out
his
of
little
sight.
box.
The other one's name was Al-Sad. He spent most of his time lurking about watching Barmy. My guess is he wanted that box.
Sounds like you had your hands full.
I haven't even told you about the fight yet between Mr. Weatherby and Mr. Arubaru.
Over what?
Weatherby's wife, I'd say, though they were a tight-lipped lot about it.
I see. Tell me, Lieutenant,
Yeah.
we understand that you were the
Yeah.
first person to discover the body.
Yes, sir, I was. Captain Ramsey sent me down to inspect the hold. I went immediately over to them Egyptian crates. Professor Winterbank was particularly anxious about him, you know.
Could you describe the scene as you remember it?
Can you describe the
I'll
ruckus?
never forget it.
Can you show it to us
I
in the
just
form of
made my
pictures?
way to the back of the hole.
Well, that I can,
I
yes.
noticed at the top of them crates, the one what carried the mummy's coffin was raised up kind of funny like. The coffin lid was laid off to one side, and there was Mr. Weatherby all sprawled on the floor next to a bowl of ashes.
Mr. Weatherby.
Strangled by a length of the mummy's shoe.
The mummy's
Bloody
shoe?
gruesome,
Oh, shrew.
tell you. Poor bloke's eyes popped out like...
Yeah, actually, the real
sausages on a
mystery is how
hot
the
iron
mummy
skillet.
got shoes.
Quite a vivid picture, don't you agree, Holmes?
Quite. And you reported this to Captain Ramsey?
Quite, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, shut the fuck
Anyway.
up, Watson.
Charge of the entire investigation.
You're
And
dead
what
weight,
did you
Watson.
discover? Did anybody have any contact with Weatherby on the night of the murder?
Not that I know of. I could account for all the crew. The passengers were in their cabins as far as anyone knew or would say. Nobody saw anything, heard anything, or knew anything. Besides, Weatherby was seasick from the
And we
beginning.
still
He
don't
stayed
know
pretty much in
anything.
the cabin all the time.
What? Who am I? What am
Why
I
the
doing
lovely
here?
young Mrs. Weatherby was gallivanting about.
With Uruburu?
Yes, indeed.
And what of the bowl? Where is it now?
Oh.
With the ashes?
Oh, yes. You know, now that you mention it, I don't recall ever seeing it again.
Hmm.
Dun dun dun. Okay, so that might. Well, we'll see. So he mentioned that Travis was fighting a bunch with Windibanks and all those folks, and he was in a lot of mumbo jumbo. So we should check this Philip Travis individual.
This chap.
Who is a reporter, apparently. Nothing on file, so I guess we'll just have to go talk to him.
So you've been reading my articles in the Times. I'm honored.
He's the mummy. Get him.
What do you think of them?
Quite interesting. You've clearly been following the murders quite closely. Who do you suspect?
I believe it is the work of the ancient Egyptian god Pumatef and his goddess Neith.
Be serious.
I couldn't be more serious. You see, Mr. Holmes, although I am a journalist, I was actually trained as an Egyptologist. I know all about these mysteries.
Yeah, really.
That's why my articles carry
Career
the
really
force
took
of
off then, huh?
truth.
And what is the truth, Mr. Travis?
The truth is that the
The truth
Egyptians
is-
discovered the secret of life. What we call science is mere child's play compared to the knowledge they had.
Well,
Look at this.
I'm sorry. I
You know
got
what to
nothing,
say.
Sherlock. I
Appears to be a mummified animal of some sort.
Mummified
Monkey,
animal.
perhaps?
Precisely.
A mummy?
Quite a
A monkey?
conversation piece.
A
I've
mummy
been using
monkey?
it in some very important experiments,
fine
which,
young
if
animal.
successful, will unlock the secret of bringing back the souls of the dead. I've been working on it, Mr. Holmes, using these tanner leaves. Watch.
I'm sorry, sir. What are you trying to do again?
Uma Lotus.
Raise the dead?
Cantina.
Why?
Hoorah!
Damn.
It appears
Womp
that the soul
womp.
of this particular monkey has no intention of making a reappearance.
It's only a matter of time. I know it is. After all these
Well, you
secrets
see,
have
the
been
monkey
burned for
actually
thousands of
hates
years,
me.
These things don't happen overnight. But it will happen someday.
I can't raise the dead overnight, all right? It's going to take at least a whole week.
Travis,
Don't go yet. But let me show you more.
thank you. Some other time, perhaps.
Okay. Did you recognize that actor?
No, it's hard to tell with the
Did you recognize his voice a little bit?
kinda. Not enough.
Okay. That was Bill Corbett.
Was it?
That was Bill. Okay. I found out that this game had him in it because he himself brought this up on the Mads Are Back Madsathon reunion the other, like, couple weeks ago. It turns out I actually owned this game on the Turbo CD, but the Turbo CD version was lower quality, so I decided to grab a ROM for this. That entirely is the case. Anyway, you can pretty much
Oh
tell.
my god.
But yeah, it was, yes, and you can IMDb this. It is there on his IMDb page, and he confirmed it, and he said, yeah, he had to do that take a bunch of times, and it was during his serious actor period.
It's like, rise, rise. Well, you're going to get these things.
Yeah, this is going to happen every once in a while. But yes, so that was a Crow T robot.
Oh, that's delightful.
Yeah.
If this is an inconvenient time, perhaps I could come back, Mr. Uruburu.
I wouldn't hear of it. Just a bit of a hangover. I've weathered plenty worse than this.
I'm
Do you like
investigating
my
the death
smoking
of
jacket?
Andrew
It's quite
Weatherby.
expensive.
You were on the ship with him out of Cairo.
And it makes me look smoking hot. You know, the kids are going to say that one day.
Tedious fellow.
I'm
So
really
serious
ahead of the
one might
time.
Want to do him in?
Don't be preposterous. In my condition, I couldn't have done anything of the sort.
What condition was that?
And I thought you were a great detective. The first night
What?
out, a few of us threw a bit of a bash that went on until we docked in London.
And then we
Did
got
Mrs.
drunk with the
Weatherby
mummy.
attend this
Yeah,
particular...
it turns out he's got a stash of amazing,
She was the
amazing
guest
scotch.
of honor, you might say.
He's really good at partying. What an animal.
There we go.
Okay.
All right, so let's just do the last few things I need to do to make sure we get this all wrapped up, and see if we can actually solve the case. Because then you have to take it to the court, and you have to.
Oh, yeah. Do you call the mummy to the stand and ask them where they were on the night of the murders?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
So such a tiny bird she is.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry to intrude on you in your moment of grief.
Oh, that's quite
And
all
your
right.
moment of tininess.
No, Andrew and I haven't
They're
been
so
married
small.
very long.
Long enough to know if you had any enemies?
Oh, Andrew was so unassuming.
Well, I mean, he has made some enemies of the vampires.
Including Mr. Uruburu?
He was trying to broker a peace
I
with the
really
mummies,
loved
though.
my husband.
he attempted, and
I'm
it
sure you
failed
did.
miserably. He always liked to tell the mummies that they needed daddies as a joke, and they took it very personally.
And then when they started going
Sorry.
after them, he
You'll
said
have to
that they
open it
always
yourself.
got a little
I've
too
never
wrapped
been
up in
able to
their own
do things.
business.
And he even once made a joke that they didn't even understand at the time, because you see, my husband was a time traveler, and that he said they needed to just call off the whole thing. I have no regrets for that one.
Let's Carl the whole thing off.
Such a tragedy. Fine men all, and such outstanding scholars.
Can we come in?
Quite get
Thank
over the
you.
shock of it.
We understand.
Professor, we're looking for background information on these three men so that we can understand how their murders might tie together.
Well, let me begin with Dr. Turnbull. Ebenezer Turnbull was responsible for organizing the Carteret expedition. Quite a
As seen in
remarkable
this
man,
drawing.
really. This was the first time he teamed up with James Winterbank.
And
Professor
this drawing.
Winterbank was one of our most popular lecturers. In
This
fact,
next one
several
might
of
be a
his
little bit
former
difficult to
students
understand,
were
but it's
also
actually
eager to
Dick
accompany
Butt.
him. I recall him saying that he was having difficulty choosing. Weatherby turned out to be the lucky one. Though it seems far from it now, doesn't it? I suppose Smith and Travis turned out to be the lucky ones after all.
Smith
What a real
and
shame.
Travis?
Peter Smith accepted the invitation to join another expedition. As for Philip Travis, he was quite keen on accompanying Professor Winterbank. In fact, he became exceedingly upset when Andrew Weatherby, a postgraduate student in the department, was chosen instead. Took it rather personally, I should say.
I mean, someone actually drew a picture of him listening in. I mean, that's
That's how you know it's very serious.
yes.
Yes. Okay, and then looks like, oh yeah, Henry Ellis, I think, is the last one. That's right. Ellis is the newspaper editor, which I would have figured out if I had gone through all of the newspapers.
And who's got time for that?
It's quite amusing, all this hoopla over a mummy's curse, I must say. Not so amusing, of course, the murder of 3 Englishmen.
Have any of your reporters uncovered anything new?
If they've been anyone other than Englishmen, like maybe some Scots, it would be totally amusing again.
The writing of any of these articles.
Eh.
I believe they are all the work of Philip Travis. He's one of our young reporters. For a short time, he was the Egyptian correspondent.
Was he sacked?
No. He returned to London just a few days ago. I gather he was reassigned to cover the case from here because he had some familiarity with the murder in Egypt.
Do you know Travis?
No,
You know how it
never
goes.
actually met the chap, although I hear he's a bit of an odd duck.
Odd duck
Thanks
is
for your
right.
help, Henry.
A bit of an
They
odd
always
crow.
say that.
Let me know when you catch the mummy. That's one scoop I'd like to get.
Okay.
They always call somebody an odd duck.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange because ducks aren't really that odd to begin with. Although that actually makes sense then, because ducks are so normal. For them to be odd would be quite troubling.
I don't know. I have heard what their dicks look like.
That is true.
It's pretty odd.
Mm-hmm. Notes. All right. I would like to call, I don't know, Henry Ellis.
Yes.
Terribly sorry, gentlemen. That is not at all correct. I regret this very much, but you must go back to the start of the game.
No second.
Wow.
Wait,
wow.
what?
Hey.
Wait, what?
Hey.
Oh.
Hey.
Oh.
Whoa.
Did that just fuck me up because I picked the wrong thing to do? Okay, let's go here. Did that completely reset all the progress? Or okay, let's go to the directory. Who do I think? Well, it's Travis, obviously. He had too much motive and too much aggression. There's not enough.
And what makes you so certain? What was Travis's motive for killing Turnbull?
My evidence?
Oh yeah, for questioning the doctors. Yeah.
And what of Andrew Weatherby? Who murdered him?
That would also be Philip Travis. This really is a bit obvious, isn't it, Your Honor?
Well, that's not my job.
So, you say Travis killed Turnbull and Weatherby?
Yes, I believe he did, my lord.
Then what was his motive to kill Weatherby, Holmes?
He just plain didn't care for him.
He did not like him very much. Travis was angry that Weatherby was chosen for the expedition instead of himself. Wow, that was... Yes. Bang.
Ah, revenge. The oldest motive in the book.
No.
Who murdered James Windibank?
Look, buddy, just make a logical leap here.
Like, maybe, just maybe.
These are all the same murders from the same guy.
Yeah, because, you know, the MO matches the same.
Travis seems to be quite a busy fellow. What made him kill
Yes,
James
sometimes
Windibank?
murderers are busy murdering.
Yeah, and Windibanks didn't choose him for the expedition.
Excellent job, gentlemen. You have solved the case to my satisfaction. The court stands in recess. Until next time, of course.
And that is a case solved.
You must be slipping, my dear Holmes. I dare say if we
Suck
put
it,
our brains to
Sherlock.
the task, we could have solved this one in 26 points.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's Sherlock Holmes Consulting
Well,
Detective.
Watson, I believe this case is solved. And for your information, it was not the mummy.
Come, Holmes. I never thought for a moment it was the mummy.
Yes, you did.
Why couldn't it be a mummy?
Why
It
not?
could be a mummy if it wanted to.
What if possibly it was just a mother, not a mummy?
The obvious, Holmes.
Well, it obviously wasn't, Watson. It was a man.
First, I saw no...
And I don't think it was married or had any
more
children.
than one murderer. Secondly, the locations of the murders limited the number of suspects.
Limited them? The first murder was in Egypt, the second on ship
What about
in the
little
North
mummy
Sea, and
children?
the third in London.
Oh,
Terrible.
Oh my God, mummy children?
London and Egypt, a
Horrible.
limited number of
Ew.
suspects.
It'd be like the
No,
monster kids from Silent Hill 1, but with mummies.
Egypt for
mummified.
the first murder, on the ship for the second, and in London for the third.
I hated those kids.
But of course, according to the newspapers, the Eastern Empress was in Bombay at the time of Ebenezer Turnbull's murder, so that eliminated the ship's crew as suspects. Thus, I needed the list of passengers who boarded the ship at Cairo. It was our visit to Jardine Mason and Company that provided our first critical clue.
Yes.
From it, I learned that Philip Travis was the passenger.
Yes.
I then learned that Travis was the chap who reported on the first murder. He became one suspect.
As
But I had no
evidenced
motive.
here.
Clarissa Weatherby, who was also at the scene of the murder in Cairo, was another possible suspect. Since she
yes.
appears to have had a bit of
And she
dalliance
could
with
possibly
Mr.
be a
Gould
mummy,
there
even
on
though
the
she has
high
not
seas.
revealed that to the public.
So I had found her motive for the murder of Weatherby, but not a motive for the murder of the others.
Then whom did you eliminate?
Mrs. Weatherby. Her hands were not strong enough even to open a jar of English toffee, let alone strangle a grown man.
Whoa,
Whoa,
hey,
hey.
Motive.
It seems
You
that
know, maybe she has
Travis was
no
the
motivation to open that
department at
jar,
London
but she'd have
University and
motivation to
had studied
choke
under
you.
James Winterbank.
Dad, she
He
would.
wanted very badly to be chosen as a member
Actually,
of the
can that just be the
expedition,
twist
but
ending of
Winterbank
this
turned him
episode? That'd be
down.
great.
Instead, Weatherby was chosen.
That's what I'm
going
gonna
to
think of.
So there you have the motive for two of the murders.
And what of his motive for the murder of Turnbull?
Evidently, Travis had written.
He's just mad, okay? He's angry.
He's a
Him
very,
angry.
he's a very angry, very lonely, very bad man.
Look, Watson, once you get the whole thing where it's like, oh, he was being snubbed, it's pretty easy to figure it out. He was being snubbed.
Yeah.
Revenge.
Revenge. Murr.
Come on, Watson, get it together.
Fucking seriously. All right. So that does it for Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. I just wanted to do that little thing. And so what do you think, dude? We found a game that's got one of the MST3K actors in it.
That's great. I love that his particular role was that one.
Oh, absolutely. He got to play the killer and everything. Oh, goodness. Now, have you tried any of the newer Sherlock Holmes games, like the ones from the Sinking City team?
No, I think Type of Bird started one of them. I think the one that like crosses over with Cthulhu stuff, but didn't get that far in.
Yeah, I've been meaning to try those out, and if the reason I ask is because, you know, if any of you out there have tried some good Sherlock Holmes games, including the newer ones, let us know, because we're kind of curious. We do like our mysteries around here.
We do.
So did you ever expect that I would just sneakily get a Bill Corbett starring game in front of you?
No, I can say that was not on my list of things I ever thought was going to happen.
Excellent.
I mean, in retrospect, I should have expected it, but I did not.
But in any case, hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully the folks at home enjoyed. And yeah, until next time, folks, we will see you around, and just keep happy sleuthing.
Stay safe.
Safe sleuthing. That's try to safe sleuth your way through life without doing a snake voice in the process.
Yeah.